Life. Good morning, everybody. I am meepy. Um, I've been doing a lot of failing to process all of the fucking circumstances in my life. Um, yeah, I'm really tired. Have been, I know, but like on a deeper level. I think it was already kind of getting hit with the depression beam. And the other day didn't help. But it happens. Um, I was going to read that note eventually, so. Yeah. Anyway, welcome back to the Daily Peak, where I attempt to beat every day's randomly generated peak from the game Peak. Where I attempt to climb every mountain. My name is Soul. I hope you're all having good mornings out there. I'm doing my best. It's becoming more and more apparent that I'm not sleeping all that well. Starting to remember my dreams more. Because I realized I've been waking up mid-REM, basically. And you can kind of focus on the dreams in that moment and try to carry it for a while. Weird one last night. I'm not gonna get into it. I don't think it counts as a nightmare, though. It's just weird. Flirtatious. It's definitely representative of deep longing for an intimate relationship that I've been lacking. Um, God, I need more hugs. The whole thing felt and still kind of feels like almost scandalous, but it was just an extended cuddle sesh. It felt overly intimate, sexual even, but it was just being held. I think my brain's just not used to that. So it's amping up the scandal factor of it. I've done worse technically, but it's all, you know, online. So there's an element of removal. I need to be held, I think. Oh. Should get off the topic. Pathfinder went pretty good yesterday. I have been running it was mostly just an extended battle. One of my players got the very cool moment of basically using the heal spell to like suicide bomb a dozen ghasts. And she didn't even die. They're great. They mostly died, but didn't totally die. But yeah. Yeah. Notably, the fight was mostly just an excuse to get the players to burn through a bunch of resources in advance of the actual boss fight. And I barely tried to hide that fact, just, you know, the players let going all out. They knew there was a second phase. They could have guessed what that phase was. They went all out on the army of level 2 undead anyway. Which I think is very fun. So yeah, this is gonna be a fight. Especially because at the end of the thing, a bunch of the ghasts sacrificed themselves to the Heartstone pool, which the vampire Tivia has been using to stay off her hunger. Because at this point, she's kind of just going so insane that she's looking for any respite. And the only thing that she's been able to do to get that is to literally remain in the act of drinking blood as she enters a torpor. So she's been submerged in a pool of false blood for days. As she kind of, like, has her brain going in there, trying to figure out what the fuck to do. Because she got herself in a situation. Yeah. Hopefully, the players are gonna have a lot of fun with this fight. I'm thinking the limited resources will stretch it out a bit. You know, they used up a lot of the resources they're usually depending on. They're gonna have to get more creative with this tragedy. And they're fighting an enemy that is notably that they have fought like in a dream before, and is they are well aware that this enemy is well and truly stronger than them. That was a level ago. You know, they have some like right to be confident about their abilities, but you know. Mostly, though, I am just going to be very happy watching my players suffer. Heart spam. Blech. My therapist is right. Getting me to talk about Pathfinder is the fastest way to ground me emotionally. I get back into like a semi-content state basically immediately. I just love running my campaigns. I wanted to try running like the beginner's box and stuff just for pay online. Yeah. We'll see how it goes overall. I should probably get like a VPN or something, because currently the method I use to get people onto my Foundry is just kind of sending my IP address. So I should change that. But otherwise, I could host a server with that one service, like Forge or whatever. Forge hosting, maybe? I don't know. Whatever the name of that service is. It's like on the Foundry website, so it shouldn't be hard to find. Yeah, they are like specialized servers that are for this. Yeah, my hope is I can do some running like the beginner box and stuff just to like test the waters, see if that is a thing that I could be interested in doing professionally as opposed to just for fun with friends. And like, if so, that's you know, that's decently lucrative. can make a chunk of change doing that. I'm realizing I have 2 heal roots in my bag. But yeah. Today I'm doing my best to make it a rest day. As much as I'm able. I still need to work on those applications. I've been a mess for the last week or so. I need to get these in by the 31st. Oh, I'm gonna be scrambling next week. Ugh. Let's hope it goes well. Because if it doesn't, then I don't know. I don't know what I do if it doesn't go well. Yeah. I legitimately do not know. If I keep having problems getting this done, I'll just have not sent applications in anywhere. I need to stop thinking about this. It is supposed to be a rest day. I have therapy later. This can come up during therapy. It's not gonna come up during the stream. To be nice to myself, god damn it. To not wear through my very limited supply of energy. Because, you know, it's already not great. Getting bad news didn't help. Kind of been weighing on me. Just, like, passively. So, yeah. It's a lot to process, and my brain is infamously very bad at processing things. It's one of those, like, blind spot. I learned to dissociate really hard, which means removing yourself from your emotions, which is very helpful if you need to keep going in the moment, but it is actively detrimental if what you're trying to do is process those emotions and move on. Because my brain treats any instance of an emotion being too big as, like, a threat and triggers the dissociation again. Because that's what it knows. That's what it's done. Like, historically. That is what my brain does, and I am doing my best to be able to access my emotions again and all that. But that's still, like, the default. That's the routine. It is actually a bit like running monsters in Pathfinder. Every Pathfinder monster is built with a routine in mind, a set of actions that the monster will attempt to do. Usually you can figure it out with like 10 minutes of looking over the monster stat block. For instance, I believe wolves? Some flavor of beast are set up very intentionally with the abilities to knock enemies prone, do more damage to prone enemies, and do more damage flanking. So they're made to knock you down, which puts you off guard. They can do more damage to prone enemies. They can do more damage to off guard. But they have to get you on the ground first, you know? So their routine is using some bite ability, I believe, which has the knockdown tag or whatever. The tackle ability. Something like that. And as you figure out that routine, you can just kind of repeat the same actions over and over. And be like, okay, yes, the monster is going to attempt to do this. It is built to do this. This is the ideal strategy for it. A lot of undead, like ghouls and ghasts, which I've been running a lot of recently, are designed basically solely to like transfer diseases and poisons. It's like their thing is giving you as much poison as possible. So ghouls can inflict ghoul fever, which on a longer term scale makes it harder to receive healing, and they can paralyze you. With, I believe, elves being resistant and certain magic items making you resistant against specifically like ghoul and geist paralysis or whatever, because they're so well known for it. But their goal is to try and infect and try to paralyze you, and infect you. By the way, everyone say hi to Pandora. As we all know, Pandora has been my lover since elementary school. We've had an off and on relationship, being pretty consistently on from elementary school all the way up through high school until we had a falling out before getting into college, and have recently rejoined once again in an effort to, you know, relive some of those early high school days. You know? Capture that old joy that we used to get. Anyways, she's been helping me out with the whole mountain climbing thing. I think this is a good loadout. I can't really go back now, so. Ooh, berries. Good I saw that. Yeah, a ghoul's job is to bite attack to try and inflict the disease, and then 2-claw attack, because the claws have the agile property, so you should be using them after the larger bite attack, because they're more likely to hit. The bite does both ghoul fever and paralysis. The claws only do paralysis. So they care more about paralyzing you so they can kill you more efficiently. And, you know, if the target gets away, they've still inflicted ghoul fever, which can result in the target turning into a ghoul or recovering and being just fine, you know? So their goal is primarily to kill people and eat their flesh, as ghouls are like to do. And secondarily to spread themselves, just in the event that they fail to do the first thing. You can identify that pretty quickly by going over the stat block, and then just kind of keep running that routine. Their goal is to bite you once, and claw attack you twice. And anything else they do is in service of them getting to do that every round. So they will move towards the nearest target, generally speaking, and they don't particularly care about, like, hammering away at a brick wall, because they are trying to paralyze and inflict ghoul fever. Their thought is, it doesn't matter if I'm going up against a brick wall, eventually they will fall to this poison. All I need to do is survive long enough to get to there, and then I can recover by eating the body. They're pretty resilient creatures. Which, by the way, if you have NPCs in these combats, ghouls, geists might also be a thing. They are more than capable of, you know, taking out lower level NPCs and just eating them to regain health. It's a strategy they will likely try to employ. When I have them facing off against players, they go for the meat shield. When they're going against NPCs, they'll go for weak links, primarily. Take down squishy ones. Prefer strikers to tanks and all that. Healers if they can get their hands on them, assuming that the healer isn't, like, well defended. And they will try to kill that, so they have a body on the ground for the rest of the combat, that they can feast from in order to recover later on. They're solid. They have that solid, like, loop in their thing. And once you realize that, like, every Pathfinder monster has one of those, you can identify it pretty easily once you're looking over a sheet. And you can, basically figure out how to run these creatures at, like, any level, any scale. Because they have just, like, the things they're trying to do. They have their own objectives in the thing, where they are ultimately trying to win the fight, and you can read into it to figure out how they plan to do that. They want to win the fight, and they're really good at this one specific method of doing that. That's kind of the core loops. Brains work in a similar way. When you develop a new coping mechanism, your brain's like, okay, this is... I need to survive this. I can worry about the long-term consequences later. These emotions are too hard, I'm going to phase out the emotions. And yeah, my brain decides, hey, um, it that core loop is created and identified, and it's like, okay, this is the method that has always worked. You know, when we get into an encounter and we're having this problem, this is how we respond. Because your brain is constantly going through that same core loop, that like thing that it has specialized itself to do in terms of coping strategies. It's not always the most universally helpful. Ow. But it doesn't need to be. It's one of the, it just needs to get you through the moment. And the brain is short-sighted in that sometimes it will, you know, prioritize that survival instinct when it's not necessary. You know, you're not running away from a tiger. You're dealing with your emails. And, like, totally reasonable to be stressed about your emails. No hate to people who are having email-related stress. But it's less severe than being chased by tigers, that is for sure. But your brain doesn't really care. It is detecting that you are under stress, and it wants to help you survive that. And the brain's expectation for what stress is eaten by tigers. You know, chased by predator. So much like a ghoul in Pathfinder has this core loop of, you know, get a body on the ground so you can heal later, and then bite, claw, claw, bite, claw, claw. This is the thing that works for us. Like, we are really good at this. We've specialized in doing this. So we're gonna keep doing it. Bite, claw, claw, roll your fortitude saves. But then the ghoul encounters something that is, like, highly resilient. So they have solid fortitude, they have a solid armor class. So they are doing no damage, like not even getting the hits off. And when they do get the occasional hit, this guy is resisting it entirely. The core strategy doesn't work, but they don't have anything else to do. They have this core strategy. It is, you know, bite, claw, claw, bite, claw, claw, over and over. Because that is their specialization. They were quite literally made to do it. Ooh, that was risky. And yeah, much like a brain, or much like a ghoul, your brain will keep trying to use the old methods even if they aren't entirely applicable. You know? Because it learned a while ago that it works, and it doesn't particularly care about the long term as long as you survive the moment. Like, as long as you are still alive, your brain, is like, okay, we're succeeding. And, like, that is true, you know? The only way you can fail at life is by dying. Like, that's the one failure condition. and everything up to that point is succeeding. You keep living, you try not to die. That's all you need to do to be a good human. That's the biological argument for, like, how you should live your life is, keep surviving until you can, you know, fuck. And then, once you've fucked, you've won, you just need to live as long as possible after that. And, like, the means by which you do that, system's not all that picky. We're a little more complicated than a standard animal and that, like, biological level, but I do believe that if you are holding yourself to high standards of success, you do need to remember that the only way that you can fail is by dying. Yeah, your brain is taking that prompt very literally, and saying, okay, we're not dead. We don't need to aim for anything more than not dead. Meanwhile, you're out here like, okay, but this isn't like a tiger's situation. This is, dealing with a long history of emotional neglect. And your brain's like, ooh, big emotion? Tigers. We're doing the tiger method. Bite, claw, claw. And it's like, no, that's not... It's not gonna work here. And doing therapy is just the very long process of, teaching your brain an additional loop to do other things with the same emotions. Because you have ghouls that are very low-level, like, simple enemies, and they have that single loop of bite, claw, claw. Make your fortitude saves. It's an effective enemy, but at the end of the day, they're level 2. When you get up a bit, like the higher level that you go, you have to develop more advanced strategies, because players have access to more resources and all that. You know? The problems are gonna get more complicated than tigers. And you either need to develop new loops for better long-term success, or, survival, you're gonna keep surviving. And, like, nothing more. And, like, survival's a solid baseline. But it is a bad aspiration. If you're aspiring to survive, you are in a situation where that doesn't look like the outcome that you'll get, you know? If that's true for you, aspire to survive. You know, I've had those times. I didn't think I was going to make it past 20. Like, that's just a true thing about me. When I was young, I could not conceive of a future beyond that point. It is one of the big reasons why a lot of stuff is kind of broken down, as I have, like, figured out high school and shit. As I have, like, a degree now, and I'm supposed to be doing adult stuff, but, you know, none of this was ever in the cards until I got here. My brain wasn't prepared for it. And I am trying to bite, claw, claw my way into an office job. You know? The basic survival routines work fine for the basic survival stuff. But you gotta go to therapy to learn the new loops. Because otherwise you're gonna be way behind the meta. And your build's gonna be outdated. You know, you need to learn the new tech. Otherwise, you're gonna fall behind the curve, and your character build's gonna suck. Am I appealing to the gamers correctly? Am I correctly appealing to the mentally ill gamers? I do my best. I don't quite remember where that rant was starting off, but just, you know. Your brain will develop those loops. Those loops are good for basic survival, but bad for long-term emotional processing. I'm in therapy to learn new loops. That sounds like the basics. And I feel like I'm doing better at it. I don't know if I feel like I'm doing a good job at it, but I am doing better. I can say that much. Does cooking the remedy fungus do anything? Doesn't seem to. Yeah, getting hit with all that information triggers the, like, survival mode. Definitely. And my brain hits, bite claw claw mode. And I'm just doing my most basic loop of, okay, I need to survive until tomorrow. And when I hit tomorrow, I'm gonna have to survive till the next day, and I'll figure that out when I hit tomorrow. You know? Right now I'm trying to survive today, and the problem I'm having is extreme emotional distress, and I know how to fix that. This is my brain narrating. And it puts me into the torment nexus. Because none of my coping mechanisms were designed for any kind of, like, long-term thinking. It was all designed to keep me from, like, killing myself in the moment. I lost, like, a month of time when I hit, like, some of my biggest, like, moments of suicidal ideation. And, like, when I came to, effectively, I started seeking out therapy and stuff. It's just one of the, like, my brain needed to reboot my personality. And it's like, I don't know, I can barely remember things from before then. My memory is clearer after that point. It is like waking up, you know, on a new day, wherein I'm actually able to, like, process the things around me or whatever. Like, for a moment, the depression cleared, and, like, the me inside of me was like, oh shit, I have a moment to act. And that's when I started trying to prioritize my mental health a bit better. You know, that's when I came out as trans. That's when I, you know, admitted to having a lot of problems with suicidal ideation to my doctor at the time, and got a referral to therapy. And my first therapist wasn't great, but you know, I'm with a new therapist now. She's amazing. They're amazing. I don't remember if they use they them or she they or they she. Eh. Um I'm gonna be haphazard about it because I'm not talking directly to them. Though they do have my YouTube channel. Um, if they want to hear me vent about my emotions outside of therapy, they have the perfect method of watching me do that. Though I do have the sneaking suspicion that maybe they don't really tune in. Because a lot of it is, you know, this. Lovely. I thought I was gonna die somewhere in the tropics, so this is a nice surprise. Ominous, really. Yeah. When my brain hit that reboot point and I started making more of an effort to take care of my mental health, is when my ability to remember things improves. It doesn't... It's not perfect. My memory's never been perfect. But you know, it gets better then. It's like there was a lot of what probably seemed like sudden changes to people on the outside, but it was like stuff that I've been struggling with for a long time internally. Oh shit, you guys are real. Hi. How you doing, guys? Blech. It was just stuff I wasn't, like, I don't know, talking about openly because my brain was so firmly in survival mode. Up until tail end of high school, I didn't even, like, making any kind of choice about my future felt wrong. It was like, why do I care about that? I'm worried about the next grade I'm getting. Why do I need to make a big choice here? I'll sit and ponder it for a couple days and then come up with something. And it's like, I watch a lot of YouTube videos. It's probably, you know, easy enough to make. I'll go for video production. And that was hell. Partially because, I wasn't, like, actively engaging with, like, the videos that I was watching, really. Nor was I with, like, film or anything. So I completed that whole degree, and I know a lot about how to operate cameras and audio equipment and all that, but there's, like, no passion behind it. Because I don't care. I didn't care. I was told to make a choice, and they were like, choose something you like, and I was like, I like watching YouTube videos. I thought game design would be too hard, but it did end up being where, like, more passion lies. I am also correct in that it was also very difficult. But like I did eventually hit the point where I was like, oh, I actually care about this with that degree. That is kind of why I had to take like an extra year in TMC and 2 years after that to pursue my animation for game art degree. Because I legitimately do want to do that. Which is actually kind of alien to me. It feels like up until a few years ago I didn't actually want to do anything. Which, deeply sad. Just to get that out of the way. I hear the words I'm saying. I agree, they are really sad. The fact that for most of my life I have been doing everything more out of a sense of obligation than a true passion. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe the people around me would have picked it up better if I had like a better sense of community at the time. I didn't. I didn't really develop solid friend groups until just recently, and they're all online. I had to join a cult on accident first. Thankfully, not even the worst cult I could have joined on accident. I could have joined much worse cults. You know, at least all the Averno writing project did was amplify my fear of forests. Which, you know, was already kind of present from previous drama. So, you know, it's like it barely did anything. Cut to me, like, blacking out for a few days as I make a fucking protective amulet. Because I was so paranoid. But yeah. I don't know. Any sense of community is very new to me. It's like, maybe if I had a stronger sense of that earlier on, it would have been caught that I was doing everything out of a sense of obligation more than any kind of individual passion. But, you know, moved early in my childhood, so the friends I made in early elementary school, I left behind, and the friends I made in late elementary school were missing a few years of context. So I didn't make many friends then. Didn't help that I was not the most socially adept at the time, because some flavor of probably autism led to me only like learning how to socialize in middle school. And when I say learning, I mean it in a very academic sense. As in, like, I spent a lot of time with psych books instead of people. Yeah. weird kid for a decent chunk of my youth. There was very little sense of community to be found in my local area. Or at least if there was, I was not the person that was gonna find it. It would have had to find me. I was not equipped at the time to seek such things out, and really not thinking about it, and didn't really see the point. Get good grades, go home, go to sleep. Get good grades, go home, go to sleep. You know, be tired all the time, never really wake up. It's fucking hellish, man. So yeah, it's not until really recently that I've actually done things out of a passion for doing them. If you approach me at the right time in my past, I probably would have thought you were crazy for insisting that people do things out of passion at all, or that people enjoy anything. It's one of those, like, you know, some people actually, like, enjoy doing math, and I'm sitting here like, you're making that up. Like, people do these, like, academic subjects that you're, you know, just kind of struggling through, and they, like, feel good about them. It's like, conceptually, I understand what you're getting at here, but I haven't felt good ever, so I don't have the context. Ugh. Yeah, switching to a game design track, it's very helpful for me, like, legitimately. Doing things because I was passionate about them, very cool, as opposed to, like, doing things out of pure sense of obligation and then losing all hope the moment I didn't have an externally assigned goal to pursue. Because you hit a certain stage of depression and you don't actually care about anything. So yeah, that turnaround late high school is basically like I started living my life at like 17. I don't remember how old I was when that happened. The timeline is still really vague in my head. But like effectively for most of my life, a majority definitely at this point, I was living life because I felt obligated to. I developed my routines. I was refusing to adapt them for literally anything. Survived because I had to. desperate for approval that I didn't end up getting a lot of. And yeah, all of the flavors of social isolation that I have, yeah. By the way, I have a kofi. If y'all are, interested in supporting what I do. Yeah, no, I got close enough to suicidal at one point that my brain panicked and was like, oh god, this isn't gonna keep working. We need to reboot everything. And I lost a solid month of memory. And came back as not really a blank slate, but someone who actually had the capacity to care about things. Even if I didn't know what those things were at the time, and I still don't really know. Like, you know, waking up basically fully formed halfway through a college degree, and suddenly realizing that you aren't actually interested in any of the things that you're studying. Hell of a time. Troubling period of my life there. I eventually got around to game design, and modeling wasn't my biggest thing. I enjoyed it, wasn't my biggest thing. I ended up really liking SFX and animation, and doing a lot of like not even necessarily programming. It's just the Unreal, like, building blocks things, but that was my favorite part of it. And I have all these assets that I would like to use, but just... I've been exhausted. There has been some level of pressure on me, constantly. I have never felt like I've had room to breathe, and, I am suspicious that sometime during COVID, the sleep apnea that I have been diagnosed with as of yesterday, got worse, likely after I got an infection. It messed up my respiratory system, and I got more and more tired. Why I am tired all the time now, I'm nearly certain. Ah, shit. Wow. Jeez. Out of the world. Damn. Yeah, story of my life. Apparently that was the theme for today. Alright, well, it looks like no one tuned in while I was live, but I would like to thank everybody who is coming back through and watching this later. I really appreciate your viewership, and I will be seeing all of you guys next time. Got therapy in like 40 minutes, so bye.